Welcome to this deep dive. You sent over some really fascinating material on Shindhupalchowk. That's the district in Nepal, Bagmati province, right? Up against the Tibet border.
That's the one. A really interesting spot.
Yeah, we've been looking through it all, trying to pull out what makes it tick. It seems like a place of real contrasts. You know, these huge Langtang Himalayan peaks, but then also the gentler hills, like around Chitara.
Exactly. And the rivers, too. The Indrawadi, Botikoshi, Malamchi. They're powerful forces shaping the landscape.
Right. And we also need to touch on the resilience factor,
Yep.
especially after the 2015 earthquake. So our mission today, really, is to give you a feel for this place, this hidden gem, as some of your sources called it.
Sounds good. Where should we start? The geography.
Let's do that. Let's sort of paint a picture. The sheer variety of the terrain really stood out from your notes.
It really does. I mean, you've got this incredible vertical range. You go from these lower river valleys, almost subtropical in feel,
Mm,
right up to serious alpine conditions, glaciers
yeah.
and high peaks up in the Langtang region. It's quite dramatic.
And that difference in height, that elevation change, it directly impacts the climate, obviously.
Absolutely. You get these distinct zones stacked almost on top of each other, which, influences everything, the vegetation, the wildlife, even the way people live.
So if you were thinking of visiting, it sounds like picking your season is pretty important. You mentioned those rhododendron blooms.
Oh, definitely. Spring, March to May, roughly, that's when the hillsides just explode with color. It's supposed to be stunning, really. A photographer's dream, I imagine.
Right. But maybe not the best for mountain views.
Well, it can be hazy sometimes. If you want those really sharp, clear views of the Himalayas, then autumn, September to November, that's generally your best bet. The air is clearer after the monsoon.
Okay, good tip. Now, Langtang National Park came up again and again.
Mm.
Nepal's first Himalayan national park, which feels significant.
It is significant. And what's interesting about Langtang is it's relatively easy to get to from Kathmandu compared to some other regions.
Accessibility.
Yeah, but don't let that fool you. It's proper Himalayan wilderness. You get glaciers, high valleys, and then there's Kianjin Gompa.
The monasteries.
Yes, this ancient monastery tucked away up there. It's more than just a building. It's like a focal point in this incredible glacial landscape, a real connection to the history and the spirituality of the area.
And wildlife. You
Oh.
mentioned red pandas.
That's the hope. They live in those forests. Pretty elusive, mind you, but the chance is there. Even snow leopards, though spotting one of those is incredibly rare.
Wow. Okay, red panda would be amazing. Then there's Gosaikunda Lake. Your notes described it as sacred for both Hindus and Buddhists.
That's right. It holds deep significance for both faiths. There's this powerful legend about Lord Shiva creating the lake with his trident, his trishul.
Okay, so there's a whole mythological layer to it.
Absolutely. And the trek to get there, it's not just a hike. For many, it's a pilgrimage. It usually takes, 3 to 5 days?
That sounds about right from the notes.
Mhm.
Moderate difficulty.
Yeah, moderate. It's high altitude, so you need to be acclimatized. But it's considered a very rewarding trek. The combination of the stunning scenery and that spiritual atmosphere, it seems to leave a real impression on people.
I can imagine. Right, let's shift gears completely now. Botikoshi River. That
That's-
sounds like,
Mhm.
well, the opposite of tranquil.
Yes, definitely a different vibe. We're talking serious whitewater rafting and kayaking here.
Your articles mention Grade 4th and V Rapids. For someone like me, what does that actually feel like? Is that just terrifying?
Well, it's intense. Grade B4 means you've got powerful, irregular waves, maybe some obstacles you need to actively maneuver around. Requires experienced guides, for sure.
Okay.
Grade V is a step up again. Think bigger waves, maybe unavoidable ones, more complex routes, steeper drops. It's, proper adventure territory. The Botikoshi is famous for it because it drops quite steeply.
Attracts people from all over, I gather.
It does. It's world-class whitewater. And if rafting isn't enough adrenaline, there's the last resort.
The bungee jump. 160 meters.
Yep, straight down into the gorge. Definitely gets the heart pumping.
Noted. Maybe not for me. But for those looking for something quieter, your notes mention Panchpakari, the 5 holy lakes.
Exactly. If the Botikoshi is about the adrenaline rush, Panchpakari is more about solitude and pilgrimage, but maybe less crowded than Gosaikunda even.
So more off the beaten track.
Definitely. It's a high-altitude trek, takes you to these 5 sacred lakes. Fewer tourists make it out there, so you get a real sense of remoteness, stunning panoramic views, and a chance to connect with local pilgrims, perhaps.
Sounds beautiful. Beyond the big natural attractions, though, your sources also talked about the cultural side. Shimadevi Temple.
Yes, that's a significant Hindu pilgrimage site within the district. Draws quite a few devotees.
But it's part of a bigger picture, culturally.
Oh, absolutely. The district is a real mosaic. You have large Tamang and Sherpa populations, especially higher up, but also newer communities, Brahmin, Chetri, lots of different groups.
And exploring your villages gives you insight into their life.
For sure, their traditions, their languages, how they've adapted to living in this, quite challenging Himalayan environment. It's fascinating stuff.
And this diversity must really come alive during festivals.
It really does. You've got Losar, which is the big New Year celebration for the Tatamang and Sherpa communities. Then the Gosing Kunda Festival, usually in August, tied to the lake pilgrimage.
Right.
And of course, the major Hindu festivals like Dashan and Tihar are celebrated widely too. It's a busy calendar.
And the food. Anything specific to try?
Well, the staples, like dal bhat, of course, but also things like butter tea, especially in Sherpa areas. Vukpa, that hearty noodle soup, is great at altitude.
Yeah.
And maybe try some ching. It's
Oh,
a traditional fermented millet beer, part of the local culture.
okay, interesting. Now, we can't really talk about shindhupalchowk without mentioning the 2015 earthquake.
Yeah.
Your notes made it clear how badly it was hit.
It was devastating. Shindhupalchowk was one of the absolute worst affected districts. Huge loss of life, widespread destruction of homes, schools, roads, trails, just immense damage.
But the recovery efforts are ongoing.
Yes, very much so. And what's really striking is the resilience you see. There's been a massive effort from locals and organizations to rebuild, focusing on schools, getting infrastructure back up, and crucially, trying to revive the tourism sector, which is so important for livelihoods there.
And your notes suggested that visitors can actually play a positive role in that recovery.
Absolutely. Choosing things like community homestays instead of just, say, standard lodges that puts money directly into local hands,
Right.
and hiring local guides, porters.
Yeah.
It's a really tangible way to support the communities as they continue to rebuild. Plus, you often get a much richer, more authentic experience that way.
That makes a lot of sense. So, okay, if someone listening is now thinking, right, shindhupalchowk sounds incredible, what are the practical things they need to know? Getting there, for instance.
Well, the main town, the district headquarters, is Chitara, and that's reachable by road from Kathmandu. It's maybe a 3 to 4 hour drive. Pretty scenic, apparently.
Okay, doable. And for trekking, especially Langtang, permits needed.
Yes, definitely. You'll need permits for the national park and potentially a TIMS card, the Trekker's Information Management System card. It's standard procedure for trekking in Nepal. Best to check the latest requirements before you go.
Right. Accommodation, is it just tea houses?
On the main treks like Langtang, yes, it's mostly tea houses basic, but usually comfortable enough, providing meals and beds. But elsewhere, especially if you go off the main routes, those homestays we mentioned are a great option.
And packing, what are the essentials?
Layers. Definitely layers. Temperatures can change dramatically with altitude and time of day. Good, sturdy, broken-in hiking boots are non-negotiable if you're trekking. And rain gear. Always a good idea in the mountains, even outside the main monsoon season. Weather can be unpredictable. Sun protection too, hat, sunglasses, sunscreen. The sun is strong at altitude.
Okay, great practical tips. So wrapping this up, shindhupalchowk really does seem to capture so much of what makes Nepal compelling, doesn't it?
It really does. That blend of, absolutely awe-inspiring scenery, the deep cultural roots, the different communities.
And that incredible resilience we talked about.
Exactly. From the thrill of the Bupakoshi to the quiet spirituality of Goseng Kunda or Panchapakari, and just the richness.
Into this deep dive.